Yes, I am a hot mess as well. But the important part is we're hot.
Exactly. That's what I'm going for, really. I even like took a shower, let my hair down. It's great.
Good. I've really just taken to showering as
Hmm.
just like a curtain between
Exactly. Hmm.
moods. It's like it's a mood reset when I need it right now.
Exactly. Hot water changes everything.
Because I don't have enough time for naps.
No, naps would be ideal, but I'm not there yet. No.
No. I had a lot of naps in pandemic though. I've really adopted naps as a
Really.
yeah. I don't ever want to have a job again. Okay, I never want to have a job again. So
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I like this really crammed and hectic flexibility. That's kind of what I'm going for.
exactly, exactly. But the thing is, I never want to have a job again where I can't lay down in the afternoon for a
Hmm.
little, right?
Exactly. Hmm.
I'm
I'm
done.
here with you.
I'm done with that old world.
We're in a new era now.
Yeah. No, this is a whole new world. We're gonna have new demands. I got to be able to lay down. And then what? Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to get all worked up about it. I'm here to talk about your amazing art.
You are so sweet.
The we knew each other before we got into the program.
Yes, we did.
Worked on a little project together.
One
So
of my favorites. I still have the Scully and Mulder IDs. That's something that's made with me between moves.
nice, nice little souvenirs from this set, a
Hmm.
X-Files themed music video.
Absolutely.
We kept somebody's house from burning down.
That's my favorite part. I felt like a real hero that day.
Seriously. And it didn't even affect our shoot time. We were
Oh
wrapping,
no, we were on track.
yeah, we were wrapping, and then we looked over and we're like, oh my God, that house, is that fire? And, the rest is non-fire history.
Exactly. Hmm.
But now you're a very cool artist. Uh,
That might be a stretch, but boy, am I trying.
yeah, you're very good. And I've just admired working alongside you for the last 3 years, which doesn't even seem like that long.
No, it doesn't. It seems like it's gone by very quickly, actually.
Yes, it has. But tell us a little bit about your work.
Sure. So what I'm working on right now is for the thesis show is kind of a body and series of works centered on memory and history, and it kind of comes out as almost a collaboration between myself and my grandparents and the land that they came from and that my mother came from and that their parents came from. Um, and it kind of emerged as all sorts of different multimedia forms. I have a small film time lapse piece. I have physical plants growing in the gallery. I have a series of prints and carvings hung up on the wall. A whole lot of nonsense, but good nonsense.
Stuff. It's really good. I've just loved seeing this evolve. And yeah, I got to see your rust prints, your tool prints the other day when I was in while you're doing the setup, and I was like, oh, they're so good. I love that piece. I've loved imagining it.
Hmm. And then kind of seeing it come in. I think the thing that's happiest about getting them finished is my guest bedroom, which I finally get back, which has just been kind of filled with spray bottles of different chemicals and rusted tools everywhere on every surface. But I'm really, really happy with that piece. And I think it turned out really well. Kind of what I was thinking from the beginning, which never happens. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which of the pieces? Well, okay. Did any of your plans have to shift because of the pandemic, or are you pretty much doing what you expected to be doing for this project?
No, my plans absolutely shifted because of the pandemic, and a lot of my thoughts and ideas have become a lot more kind of spread out and rather in one kind of installation-y piece. They've become all of these different little elements and pieces, parts. I had to cut back a lot of part of what I was going to do, which was more about kind of communal land rather than familial land and the relationships there. Just because of the pandemic, I can't go interview people and I can't utilize that audio and those transcripts the way that I was originally intending, um, because I can't see people. and I'm stuck at home. And most of the people that I was interested in talking to were 85 and don't have internet, let alone Zoom. So I had to kind of get a little bit creative and different, and came back a lot to who I was and memories that I've had forever bouncing around in my head that kind of needed a place to go.
Mhm. Yeah, and place is like very, very much a part of your overall work. I remember seeing
Yeah.
one of your first pieces that really like took my breath away is when you had uh, charted out every road you had ever driven on.
Yeah, every highway that I'd driven on, that kind of came out of this weird little collection. Whenever my family grew up taking tons of road trips up and down the East Coast, a lot of the time visiting family or state parks, or going back down to my dad's hometown in Kentucky. Um, and what that kind of emerged as is we didn't have like a DVD player in the car or anything like that. And so dad would always ask us every one of the rivers that we were passing over and add some sort of trivia guessing game. But my ADHD riddled brain was like, oh my God, I don't even know where the hell we are, let alone what river we're crossing. So I started writing down every highway and the mile markers we like got onto the highway on, and the mile markers we exited on, so that I could remember exactly where we were as we were driving these semi-familiar routes, so that I could say every river and every stream we were crossing over, because I got tired of losing to my siblings who have much better directionality than I do. And then that kind of became the core and the source for a whole other body of work of cut map pieces, and very relational and centered on who I am and those recursive memories that I have.
Mhm, mhm. It's amazing. I just love it. I love it. I love whatever. I mean, it's kind of a 3D data visualization in a way.
In
Yeah.
a way, yeah, it's very funky. I have no idea how I would remotely go about forming that in some sort of 3D sandbox, but boy, could I do it in paper.
Yeah. 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 That's got to be a little maddening to transport.
Surprisingly, no, because it all flat back packs down like an IKEA thing into a little trifold, and I just have it all sturdied up with recycled cardboard and old mats that cutting mats I can't really use anymore, and it comes down to like that big.
That's so amazing. And is that the one that's on display now?
Yeah, that's the one that's on display down in Glad Echo, and I'm very excited that it finally found a home. The show, it was originally accepted for last year actually, and had to be put on hold because of the pandemic, but they brought it back a year later and circled back around, and I was extremely excited.
Cool, 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 cool. Um, sorry, I'm getting a little.
You're a-okay.
Um, so okay, we've talked about the rust prints. What
Mm-hmm.
about the alfalfa?
Okay, sure. Um, so my grandfather, he grew alfalfa for pretty much all of his farming dairyman life, just enough so that he could kind of feed his cows and keep all of his own costs down. Um, and over time, he kind of became known to have some of the best alfalfa in New Jersey. And now that he's 85, he's not really able to move as much as he used to, and the walker makes it a little difficult to sow seed. Um, but something that he always has talked about forever and ever, all of these memories and the way that he thinks about and sits with and is able to engage with his land and his farm in that way, and particularly his alfalfa, which he's most proud of. Um, and so I was kind of taking all of those memories that he was telling to me over and over, and then starting to enact them and starting to do them, and growing all of this alfalfa in my own studio in Baltimore rather than out in the fields of rural New Jersey. Um, Kind of gave me this really wonderful connection to not only the place that I'm from, but the people I'm from, basically, in a way that I had never had before. And this kind of movement, and he was able to kind of come out with me onto the patio and like practice sowing seeds, that I would know how much was too much, how much was too little. And so watching all of this alfalfa grow in my studio and sending him little photos and videos as it's coming along has also kind of a different piece all of its own. And it's this something very touching and very close to my heart.
Yeah, that's really awesome to be able to bring those like very visceral family memories to life, literally.
Yeah, literally, as long as they stay alive.
Yeah.
That's always the goal.
I mean, like since you've been talking about this, I'm like, I want to know what the best alfalfa is like, right? I'm like, I just want to get a mouthful of really good alfalfa. It's never occurred to me to be like, oh, there might be qualitative differences, right?
Yeah, and it's been really interesting because I had to go digging because all of the seeds that he always got when he was farming were from this one very specific little seed manufacturer because he wasn't ordering like online in bulk like you can now. And so I had to like drive down to New Jersey and go to their headquarters to get those seeds. And then I went and I got his kind of his fertilizer formula that he got that he has specially made for him down at the plant, and like it all gets pulled all together. And so trying to bring as much of that connection that he had with his plants into mine, and even though they're different and grown in the dead of winter in a building in Baltimore, instead of in the kind of late fall early summery kind of time, it's turned out really well. And there's been a couple challenges along the way, and they're a little smaller than his would be at this stage in it, but they are green and alive. And I think that's about as much as I could ask for.
That's the important thing. How does what does he think about your results so far?
He thinks that I overseeded a little bit, but he's okay with it because it looks good. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'll take it. He's like, it looks like how a bigger field of alfalfa should. I'm like, I'll take it. But he's very, very pleased. And he's particularly excited that we might get that ticketed access so that he can actually come see it in its kind of full glory, not just through a computer screen.
Yeah, no, that is an exciting development. So this is the thing about pandemic. It's just like there's rules and rules, and then they change, and then you have
And
to.
then they change. Exactly.
And because yeah, we've been preparing to like, well, nobody gets to walk in there, you
And
know.
now all of a sudden, people are definitely going to be walking in there. And that also changes how we have to approach the space. A little thing
Absolutely.
that you could document around now has to be perfect because people are going to see it for
Yeah.
real.
I mean, I remember, because the shutdown happened right around this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
Basically it was like the week before spring break, and
Mm-hmm.
the last year's class basically found out the week before they were supposed to install that they weren't going to install.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, in my mind, I was like, okay, I feel sad for them, but also that didn't impact my life at all. But it does make me think, like, what's it going to be like a year from now?
Mm-hmm.
Was this like for you as well? Was that?
Absolutely. It changed so much of how I was kind of documenting the process going along, and definitely let my pieces be a lot more kind of processually oriented so that at any stage in the process, I could kind of take it out and take that step and let it be the piece that it was. And that would be okay, as opposed to having to work towards some goal that I didn't really know yet. I could just build and build and build and layer and layer and layer until I got something I was happy with.
Yeah.
That was definitely scary, not knowing what would happen. And even now, not knowing who can see it, how often people can see it, if people will be, or if they'll shut it down again,
Mhm.
really know.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Did you have any like completely bonkers version of this, like in those panicky times? Because I know I did. I had a really, I'll tell you, I had this crazy idea that what I was going to do was do this whole show live in the gallery. That was the original plan. It was
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like several nights, every night doing another show. Then I'm like, oh, maybe they'll let me during a pandemic. Maybe they'll let me live in the gallery for a
Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll just let you quarantine there.
yeah, like let me live there. I'll just do this show from the gallery and I'll live there. And I was like, maybe I'll have a camera on me and I'll like go through,
Perfect.
go through like everything that it takes to like put on a show. So like wake up, have my breakfast, do the PR, like
Mm-hmm.
whoever is going to be on the show that night, do the load in, all of it on camera.
Perfect. Love it. That seems like something they'll let you do.
I was just like, okay, I can talk people into lots of things, and I'm like, okay, first thing I'd have to do is talk somebody into letting me live in the gallery. But even like maybe I could like rent an Airbnb and just have like a room, and I do the show from there. I mean, like,
There are so many things. And I know for me, particularly when we weren't sure kind of the status of the studios, like where all of my plants were, I was like, oh, fuck, I have like all of these giant pots of alfalfa. Where am I going to put these in the middle of winter? My living room is not big enough for this. And so when, particularly in the middle, like 2 months ago, when we were peaking again, when we weren't sure if we were just going to totally lose access, I mean, I was fully prepared to just live in the studios for exactly how you're going to live. I was like, I can't leave, because if I leave, this alfalfa dies because I can't water it. But if I'm already in here, no one's going to want to get close enough to me in the middle of COVID to physically remove me. So maybe they'll just let me stay here and water my plants every 2 days.
Yeah, which is be such an interesting physical proximity, which I think would like link to your grandfather's story.
Absolutely. I was like, this is great. I can write about it in my thesis. This will be totally fine. This is reasonable. This is reasonable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you got a video piece as well, right?
Yeah, I do. So broadcast is a time lapse of kind of 8 days, 9 days actually, of the growth of some of my alfalfa plants, where every minute I had a camera that was taking a photo. And so it's kind of watching the way that the plants move and twist and follow the sunlight and the lack of sunlight, and the way that they unfold into an additional leaf, basically, because I was following the trajectory of the roughly a week's length of time where they're unfolding from just the original 2 leaves into having a 3rd leaf.
Mhm.
And so they're just moving and dancing all around the screen. And I really love that one. It brings a lot of movement and kind of a completely different time scale
Yeah.
to the entire exhibit, because I'm dealing with kind of generational memory and land-based memory, which are so long form, and then the kind of seasonal memory of alfalfa growing. But then to break it down into each minute these plants move, is
Mhm.
so different and jives so well with it.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see that. Got this idea. I think of this from time to time that plants are like people that are sneaking around in a sitcom, but then they have to freeze for a second. So they're like, and I feel like the way we interact with plants are a little bit like that, because they're just like moving
Mhm,
around, growing, doing plant
mhm.
shit or whatever. And then we look at them and they're just like,
They're just like, here I am. This is me.
flower, I'm a weed. Like maybe there's a wind, and that's all we tend to see with our.
Hmm.
But I always like that idea of like plants just being like sitcom characters, all plants.
Absolutely, all plants, all the time. This plant that I can't get to be happy in my bedroom, absolutely a sitcom character. It's growing and thriving right up until it thinks I need to water it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Are there other plants other than alfalfa that you're really into right now?
So I've also been working a lot, even just in my own home. I've kind of been inspired, and I've been growing all sorts of different vegetables and herbs, and I have all the seedlings started in my house, and I'm so excited to get those into my backyard. But I've also been propagating different like flowering shrubs because I want them, and I'm tired of just jealously looking and being envious of other people's flowering shrubs. So I've been taking cuttings when I've been going up to New Jersey and down to North Carolina to the rest of my family's grandmother's houses. And so I have like all sorts of like bleeding hearts and forsythia and a lilac, a little dwarf lilac shrub I've been propagating for a while. So those will finally make it into solid ground and out of pots this summer.
That's awesome. Do you have a neighborhood where that kind of landscaping is happening?
Yeah. So I'm up in Northeast Baltimore, kind of up past Lauraville, and it's really, the neighbors are so great, and we're kind of all passing around different plant cuttings for the coming season. And there are lots of like 5-gallon buckets of, oh my God, I have too many iris bulbs. Please, for the love of God, take some. And it's been really, really nice to be somewhere kind of quiet. And my house backs right up to a huge set of woods, basically. So it's really been lovely.
That's so cool. Well, I'm going to invite myself over.
Please do anytime we
Let's
have these
say,
backyard.
I don't have like a whole project to like push out.
Yeah, exactly. Right when we're not always constantly tired, no times for naps, God, then absolutely come on over.
That's great. Amelia, thank you so much. Have we touched on everything in your show? I
I
think we
think so. Now I can't remember, but I think we've hit everything.
got it all.
Lots of little pieces.
If we miss something, just come up and ask.
We'll just
You know,
perfect.
you're the best. Thank you
You
so
are the best. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. I'll probably even see you
All
tomorrow,
right. Oh,
probably.
I'm sure we'll be in the gallery. See
Thanks
ya.
so much. Bye.